Stop buying useless stuff. I know that sounds simple and basic, but this is going to save you thousands of dollars, and it is going to unlock your ability to retire early or invest in other things that make a real difference in your life. So stop wasting money on useless stuff. You might be surprised how much you can save just from doing this one thing alone. I want to share with you a story of my friend who went from being a millionaire and spending $300,000 a month to going broke. And I'll share with you the exact steps he took and what happened that made him lose all of his money. But before we get into that, if you hit the like button below, I'm gonna help you become financially free. In 2006, Michael was making over $2 million per year as a doctor. He had 3 kids and a wife. They lived in a 4,000 square foot home in the suburbs. He drove a Porsche and BMWs. He had a private jet and took vacations all over the world. But how did he afford all this? Well, he saved 30% of his income, which was about $600,000 a year. With this, he invested in rental properties and built up a real estate portfolio worth several million dollars. He also invested in stocks and made tens of thousands of dollars per year. Finally, he had a few $100,000 in cash at any given time for emergencies or opportunities. This was how he built up his multi-million-dollar fortune. He had several streams of income from his investments and was saving a ton of money. However, something changed after his 4th child was born. All of a sudden, he wanted more and more. He started feeling insecure when he saw other doctors with newer Porsches, or when he heard about one of his friends who bought a Gulfstream jet. He felt left behind and started wanting those things for himself. After the birth of his 4th child, they moved into a 7,000 square foot house. Now it cost him $10,000 a month in mortgage. His property taxes and insurance were another $1,000. Just maintaining the house cost him another $1,000 a month in landscaping, pool cleaning, etc. It cost him $3,000 a month to feed his family of 6. Groceries for Michael and his family used to cost around $2,000 a month. But now it costs them $8,000 a month because they were always eating out. His private money lender increased his monthly payments to $3,000 a month. And his student loans restarted and cost him $2,000 a month. He took out a new loan of $300,000 and spent it on a new Porsche. He took out a second mortgage on his home for $500,000 and put a down payment on a Gulfstream jet. He got a new credit card and started charging everything to it. His overall expenses went from around $30,000 a month to over $300,000 a month. He was spending $10,000 a day on his lifestyle. He told himself that it was okay because he had money invested and was making money every month. However, the market started crashing and so did his investments. At the same time, interest rates started rising and his expenses continued going higher and higher. He tried cutting back, but he couldn't. He was forced to take out more and more loans to cover his lifestyle. He was investing in things like artwork, jewelry, luxury watches, designer clothes, expensive toys, gourmet foods, fine wine, and many other useless things. Things that only made him look rich, but didn't actually make him wealthy. Because of this, he was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on these useless things. At the same time, he was taking out huge loans against his net worth. The value of his investments started dropping. Interest rates kept going higher and higher. And all of a sudden, he couldn't pay his loans back. Banks and lenders started calling him to repay his loans. His credit card companies were demanding their money. His vendors and contractors were asking for payments. Michael went from having $300,000 extra each month to owing $300,000 each month. And soon he owed so much money, he lost everything. He lost his homes, cars, investments, savings, everything. He even had to sell his wedding ring to buy food. He went from living in a mansion to living under a bridge. He went from driving luxury cars to riding the bus. He went from wearing expensive suits to wearing rags. He went from sipping fine wine to not having enough money to buy water. He went from being a millionaire to being completely broke. The reason Michael lost everything is because he stopped focusing on what really mattered, and instead focused on impressing people who didn't care about him. He stopped saving money and instead spent it on useless things that made him look rich, but didn't make him wealthy. He stopped being smart with his money and instead got caught up in his ego and emotions. He stopped planning for the future and instead focused on instant gratification. He stopped caring about the cost and instead focused on having the best. He stopped thinking long-term and instead thought in short bursts. He stopped looking for deals and instead paid full price. He stopped building wealth and started trying to look wealthy. And let me ask you, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you needed to buy something because you wanted to impress people? Have you ever bought something you didn't need just because it looked good or sounded impressive? If you said yes, then I'm here to tell you that you are not alone. I've been there too. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on useless things just to impress people who didn't even care about me. But after I realized that this wasn't working, I stopped buying useless stuff and instead invested that money in things that actually made a difference. And that is why today I am here to share with you the exact steps I took to stop buying useless stuff and invest my money in things that matter. Here's the first step I took. I started by identifying the areas of my life where I was spending money on useless things. I did this by tracking my expenses for a few months and categorizing them. I found that I was spending money on things like clothing, accessories, dining out, entertainment, and travel. I realized that I was spending money on these things because I wanted to impress people and look cool. But in reality, these things weren't making me happy or fulfilled. After I identified the areas where I was spending money on useless things, I set a budget for myself and cut back on my expenses. I started cooking at home instead of eating out, and I stopped buying expensive clothing and accessories. I also started looking for free or low-cost entertainment options, instead of spending money on expensive events and vacations. By setting a budget and tracking my expenses, I was able to control my spending and make sure I wasn't overspending on useless things. Once I had cut back on my expenses, I started looking for ways to invest my money in things that actually made a difference in my life. I started by investing in my education and skills. I took courses and read books on personal finance, investing, and entrepreneurship. I also started investing in my health and well-being by exercising regularly and eating healthy foods. I found that when I invested in myself, I felt better about my life and was more motivated to achieve my goals. I also started investing my money in experiences instead of things. I realized that spending money on experiences, like traveling and trying new things, gave me lasting memories and personal growth. I also started investing in relationships by spending quality time with loved ones and building my social network. By investing in these things, I found that I was more fulfilled and satisfied with my life. I also started investing in passive income streams. I started by investing in dividend-paying stocks and real estate. I also started an online business that generated passive income. By investing in passive income streams, I was able to generate additional income without having to work for it. This allowed me to have more financial freedom and pursue my passions without worrying about money. It hasn't been easy to stop buying useless stuff and invest in things that matter. It required a lot of self-discipline and commitment, but the results have been worth it. I am now in a position where I have financial freedom and can pursue my dreams without worrying about money. I am also more fulfilled and satisfied with my life because I am investing in things that actually matter to me. So if you're struggling to stop buying useless stuff and invest in things that matter, I encourage you to follow the steps that I took. Identify the areas where you're overspending on useless things. Set a budget and track your expenses. Invest in yourself. Experience relationships and passive income streams. Remember that it takes time and commitment to change your spending habits, but the results will be worth it. You can achieve financial freedom and live a life that you're excited about. So don't wait any longer. Start today and invest in the things that matter most to you. You won't regret it.